A couple saw 40 UFOs over a British beach and were ordered to leave the area. They were looking for bait for their fishing, and that's when they witnessed 40 strange UFOs hovering above their heads. That's when the British forces came in and quickly whisked them out, asking them to leave. Astonishing news. A couple saw 40 UFOs, 40, hovering over British beaches before a major drill, and they were ordered to leave. An elderly couple told of a bizarre sighting of 30 to 40 UFOs hovering outside their home the night before a major military operation unfolded, John Austin reports. Husband and wife, aged in their 80s, who have not been named, claim to have witnessed this phenomenon over Wilsthorpe Beach in East Yorkshire. Yorkshire is north of London, towards Scotland. Paranormal investigator Paul Sinclair tells their story in a new book he's penning concerning the Wilsthorpe incident. It's been branded Britain's new Roswell due to the mysterious military activity connected to UFO sightings there. The couple's bizarre claims concern the night of September 14th, 2009, 11 in the evening. They lived on one of the 30 flats that overlook the sea at Wilsthorpe. The pair decided to go to bed, but as the woman went to turn off the lights, she saw glowing lights outside. Mr. Sinclair said something told her to look outside before she opened the front door and looked out to the sea, where she was amazed to see several glowing UFOs above the coast. Mr. Sinclair said she described them as 15 feet long and 8 feet wide, spaceships over the sea. And she said there was a huge circle of boomerang-shaped craft. She said there were loads, about 30 to 40, and the sea below was bubbling, banging, and crashing. They were silent, but there was electricity going on into the sea. Ron, her husband, said that it was like a blue and white Christmas tree over the sea. He was frightened and left after 10 minutes and put his head under the pillow for the night. But she told me, he says, she was not frightened and knew she was never going to see anything like this again in her life. She stayed for around half an hour before the objects began to lift out of the circle in pairs, as at a 45-degree angle, just until two were left which shot off straight up. Yesterday, Express UK exclusively revealed how the couple said the following day the beach was swamped with military. 2 Chinook helicopters full of RAF personnel landed at the beach by the remote hamlet. Mr. Sinclair also spoke with a man who runs a bait shop at Bridlington Harbour, who told him his bait diggers had seen triangular craft enter the sea in 2009 over the same period. Mr. Sinclair also spoke with a man who runs a bait shop at Bridlington Harbour, who told him his bait diggers had seen triangle craft enter the sea in 2009 over the same period. So we see that all of their experience coincides. Everybody had the same experience that night. He said 2 of his bait diggers had been on Wilsthorpe Beach the day the couple saw the military operation. They told of seeing triangles entering the sea and being surrounded later on by soldiers. The man working on the boat at Blythe Park boat compound also confirmed the military presence, as he said. Mr. Sinclair submitted a Freedom of Information request to the Ministry of Defense to find out why the operation took place on September 15th. But the response he eventually received said that it was just a routine military drill, and few other details were provided. The reply said no live ammunition was used and no explosive heard were controlled detonations of simulated ammunitions. The response added that it was one of a number of regular exercises as part of work to defend the UK, and new locations would often be used with landowners' consents. Mr. Sinclair continues to investigate this case. He's trying to obtain historical Coast Guard reports from that period. He believes it's connected to a high level of reported UFO activity along a 25-mile stretch of the East Yorkshire and North Yorkshire coast from Brandesburg, Burton to East Yorkshire to Scarborough, North Yorkshire between May and September of 2009. High levels of military aircraft flying low and circling near his home in Bridlington, East Yorkshire, were also recorded that September. He says that the case did not yet prove a UFO presence, but he says, I think the military arrived just because of those objects being there. In a post in his Truth Proof Facebook page about the case, he wrote, "Nothing found can prove with any certainty the UFOs were over the sea, as an elderly couple claim, or that the black triangles entered the sea September 2009 like the bait diggers described. All I can do is stack the evidence for and against either side of the scale," he says. So it's proof that the military swamped the beach after a spate of UFO sightings in this new British Roswell. The British RAF squadron was seen by multiple witnesses swarming the area of the coastline that had been plagued by these mysterious UFO sightings. Express UK reports John Austin. So the case of the Wilsthorpe incident being investigated after a number of witnesses to the bizarre events along this 25-mile stretch of the East Yorkshire and North Yorkshire coast were discovered. The witnesses were reporting seeing these strange lights and the odd-shaped craft in the area from Brandesburton in East Yorkshire to Scarborough, North Yorkshire, between May and September 2009. Some of these UFOs were seen entering the sea, and cars going at a halt. They went to stop as one appeared. It's claimed 2 Chinook helicopters full of RAF personnel landed at the beach by the remote hamlet of Wilsthorpe Tuesday, September 15, 2009. At the height of the sightings, paranormal researcher Paul Sinclair reveals. This was about 8 years ago, obviously. Now, in some cases, these UFOs were seen entering the sea, and cars were grounded to a halt as one appeared. That's what they claim. As the day after a bizarre late-night sighting of between 30 and 40 UFOs in the same area, the elderly couples whose home overlooked the beach, they saw the multiple UFOs, followed a spate of other UFO sightings along the area. Mr. Sinclair told the Outer Limits magazine 70 Years of the Modern UFO Era conference in Hull. So he actually witnessed this in the UFO conference. The military action UFOs were witnessed by a couple, 2 bait diggers, and a boat worker. A 7-year investigation by Mr. Sinclair has discovered. And this is an image of one of those UFOs taken by Paul Sinclair in September of 2009. The local newspaper report, written more than a week later, September 24th at that time, said up to 50 people had seen the military arrive because of these UFOs. The case began, as we said, in 2009. Mr. Sinclair recorded several UFO sightings in the area on his former website ILF UFO. He also video recorded high levels of military craft flying low, circling near his home that year. He said at least one of the choppers had its rear loading ramp half open, and for some reason the men inside were observing me. It was not until 2014 when they interviewed the couple. They're, as we said, aged in their 80s, about their experience in 2009, that he realized it was one of the UK's most important UFO incidents. The UK has had many UFO incidents, and the Rendlesham Forest, as we know, that was really, really, really weird because the UFOs were there observing a weapons base. So a lot of people believe that they're trying to somehow stop humanity from blowing themselves up. Now, it was not until 2014 when Sinclair was interviewed They were interviewed, as we said. The couple lived in one of the 30 flats that overlooked the sea at Wilsthorpe. Sinclair told the conference that the woman described seeing the September 14th 15-foot long, 8-foot wide spaceships over the sea. That's his wife who did that. She said there was a huge circle of boomerang-shaped craft. Now, she said there were loads, about 30 to 40, and the sea below was bubbling and banging and crashing. And the woman said that after about half an hour, the craft flew off. So this is basically not the same as the U.S. Roswell case, because the Roswell was actually a UFO crash. And they claimed that there were also alien bodies in that crash. Now, there were no alien bodies or crashes in this experience, in this UFO appearance. Now, I'll leave a link below for you for this. Is on Express UK.